Welcome back everyone to East Haven County, Massachusetts. Now in the previous episode we built a detailed bus depot here in the industrial area of Low Plain. Then we developed a very detailed bus hub here at the central station in downtown Fort John. And then it was just a matter of trying to connect this up with some important areas. So the first bus lines we developed connect Fort John with Chowder Bay, the two biggest cities in East Haven County. We even made sure to create a little bus hub here next to the Chowder Bay train station. But we actually also completed a more suburban line, as we made sure to serve Queens Cape and, more importantly, the educational institutions out here, and of course the high-paying office jobs. Now obviously the bus network is far from finished. We still need to serve the city of West Point. Up here, we still need some rural lines to serve the farmland out here in Cape Autumn. We still need some rural lines to serve the vacation areas out here in Cape Rose. But I think we're off to a pretty good start. And instead of focusing this entire episode on bus network developing, I would rather we continue working on Fort John and expand the city a little more. Because we still have a downtown to actually develop, as well as, a massive industrial area out here and just some more suburban sprawl. We might even need to do more terraforming just to increase the scale of this island. We can't get all that done in this episode, but, those are just my immediate thoughts and plans. So right before we get going, here's a friendly reminder to like this video if you enjoy my content. It's a small thing, but it really helps out. Thank you. Alright, so what better way to kick off the development of a downtown area than by placing some important skyscrapers. The skyline, of course, defines the aesthetics of the downtown, but it also tells a story. It's a story of economic cycles, of booms and busts, but it's also a story of the development of a region or county. And in the case of Fort John, we've already established it's the county seat and by far the biggest city in East Haven County. But I think it's a good idea that we take a little look at Chowder Bay so we kind of have a reference to what we are working with. So if we just move over here, we see that the Chowder Bay skyline is, pretty much of medium height. We have 2, maybe 3 buildings that you can actually categorize as skyscrapers. I'm generally very pleased with the look. And like I said, skylines tell a story. So in this case, there's been decent demand in Chowder Bay, but nothing that has prompted developers to really build tall. We also still have some less optimal land use in very central locations, something we don't really have over in Fort John. So I think if we look at the overall, makeup of downtown Chowder Bay and the uptown area, it makes a lot of sense that when we compare it to the inner city areas here in Fort John, where we have very little surface parking and lots of density, the actual downtown is also going to be much denser. Of course, we could also make a quick little comparison with West Point, but that is just generally a much smaller city. It actually has a pretty well-developed medium density skyline. It's dominated by these 2 luxury apartment towers that some developer built here near the marina. And I guess the narrative is they haven't really been able to actually sell all the units here, so it's been a very expensive project. And it once again, it's a story. A story is told here in West Point that someone thought this would be hot stuff having this location. In reality, it didn't really turn out all that well. Anyways, that's a little too much role-playing for now. Let's place a skyscraper. So we're gonna move in to find it. We'll select the buildings tab. I think I'm gonna expand and open the filters. Then we'll start with an office building. I'm gonna move to high density. And I actually think we're gonna start with this signature building, multi-story multimedia. Oh, that's quite a mouthful for me at least. It's the issue is that it has a very large footprint. It's fortunately not as tall. If it was much taller, I wouldn't be placing it because then it would just overall be too imposing. But it has a really large footprint, but it's also artificially large. And what I mean by that is that we have surface parking and lots of hedges and like just asphalt or pavement, and we don't really need that. So what I think we're gonna do is we're gonna enable Anarchy. And then I'll find a small block. Maybe this was actually a good fit here. Then I'm gonna disable snapping. I think I'll have to move it like this. I don't think I can barely fit on this side, but I think we're gonna move it to this side. Then I'm going to align the actual edge of the building with this corner here and not the hedges, because those we can just remove with better Bulldozer. Maybe I'll just move it a bit up. We have some parking structures there on the right. We'll just place it here. And obviously by now it is too big for the block, but as I said, we'll grab a better Bulldozer. We'll get rid of this hedge, this one here, and definitely this hedge here, maybe a few of these bushes as well. And I mean, I guess we could actually keep some of this. It's kind of crawls into the pavement, or sorry, the sidewalk, but not too much. An additional thing I think we're gonna do is I'm going to actually be removing these parking lots here. I don't really want cars to park out front. Instead, we might splice some kind of buildings in here just to make the base of the building fit the size of this lot a little better. So for this job, I'm looking for some low density, either offices or commercial. And we probably need the biggest lot size. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. The biggest lot size we can get. And then obviously I want something that doesn't have a ton of surface parking, because that's what I'm trying to replace here. What if we grab this building right here, and we just kind of, maybe this side is better actually. Maybe that's better. I think that's a slightly better alignment. I think I'll just try and place it, and then we'll see if it doesn't look like we have any pathing issues, which is perfect. That is very much what I obviously wanted to avoid. We can even move it. We can move it a bit further back, something like this. Then I think we just need to remove these props once more with the better Bulldozer. I didn't used to have to remove them again. Maybe I messed up a setting. Anyways, I think this makes the base a little more interesting. I'll get rid of some of these hedges as well. They don't really fit. And can I get rid of this one? I can. All right. I think that looks a lot better actually. And I'm gonna get rid of this as well. It's in the way, and we still have a nice little grassy patch here where we can place our own trees or whatnot. That's better. Something that's gonna change the look of this building is how we recolor it. I think the cool thing about this type of architecture is that it can either look really old, because the facade here has this slightly bland facade that we also see in the Chrysler building. I'm not saying the Chrysler building is bland, it's fantastic, and I enjoyed it a lot up close when I visited Manhattan. But the actual main surface area of the building is kind of bland, but it could also look really modern, this building. And I think if we change the colors, that's gonna make it look a little more modern, maybe. So the main area here I'm gonna turn into not a completely white, just slightly off color white, something like this. And then we have this disgusting color up here, no offense. We're gonna make that a lot darker, something like this. I think that looks a lot better. Like, that's a real signature skyscraper for Fort John. Very happy with that. I'm gonna try and copy these colors and see how that actually worked all right, I guess, for the office building down here. And of course, the added benefit of having an extension to the base is that it provides more jobs. But it does also highlight something that doesn't make sense. I mean, this business, this low density office, 95 employees, the actual skyscraper, 204. What are they doing with all these empty floors? Anyways, now that we have a really nice office skyscraper, I think we should offset it with a residential skyscraper, especially since we already have kind of a density theme going on here in Fort John, where the density is usually, but not always, the highest as we move alongside Bay Road here. Obviously, land value is pretty high here, so when investors have bought the lots here, they've chosen to invest a lot of money and build tall, because obviously you'll be able to sell this view for quite a premium. There's nothing like being able to write ocean views in your advertisements. If you're a real estate agent, that's like a wet dream. So residential it is. Let's open this up and move to residential. We'll move into high density. And I think in this case, we have a lot here that has a really odd size. So I need something that's kind of like, I mean, we're 6x3 maybe? That doesn't exist. 6x5, that does exist. So now I have a much more, limited selection because I have a very specific lot size in mind. And I can easily go through all the options, and they are pretty ugly, although this one is actually a pretty nice fit. I'm just gonna check the rest. We're probably gonna place this one as well somewhere, and maybe this one, because these are residential skyscrapers that actually kind of masquerade as office skyscrapers, which is really nice. But I think this one is gonna be the right fit for the job here. It's gonna fit in so well, and it really looks like almost like a Chicago-esque luxury residential tower. And I think that looks really good. And it has the same features as its neighboring building. It could look old, but it could also look relatively modern. We've got another residential tower here, this time a 4x4, and it's actually, I really like the balconies, which is like the main attraction. Having the balconies actually face the bay here, but it is from the European theme. But I think with the right red brick coloring, we might just pass this off as like a New England / New York inspired 1920s, 1930s, slightly simple skyscraper maybe. I think I'm going to place it right here in this corner. Yoink. I think that works all right. It has a few ornaments and stuff up here, which I think, that's actually just ventilations, but they look like, some nice handcraft stuff that could be slightly New Yorkish, so we'll take it. Let's grab our better bulldozer, get rid of all the, We'll get rid of this one as well. Don't think that's all that relevant. That's such a random prop on a building like this. But oh well, we have this place now, and the population is starting to climb. But obviously, these are some of the first residential skyscrapers we are adding here in East Haven. And this one has more than 180 households. And this one has almost 170, so that's really nice. Let's move on and see if we have more awkward spaces. We do have like a slim block here, so maybe if we make this a little deeper and find something that might be a good, well, that is disgusting. But this is actually a good fit. We have lots of windows here that are oriented towards the bay. It's a very, very tall building, so unless we place something really tall in front of it, real estate agents will once again be able to make lots of money here. Not from us millennials, we can't afford it, but from rich boomers, of course. But if we just make a little adjustment here without snapping on so that we can move as close as possible to the road here, we get that placed, and then I don't really think we need to remove any props, not for now at least. I don't think we're gonna fuse any buildings into this one. We are obviously going to fill out the rest of the lot though. And let's just have a little look from afar and see if this is way too imposing. And I don't think so. I think this actually looks pretty good. I don't think we should go much taller than 65 Butler Street, which added 288 households. Damn. We probably aren't going to go much higher than this one, as I said. But I think this is a pretty good height for like the tallest building in Fort John. And we are already up to 2,500 residents, 800 pets though. That is a crazy ratio. All right, lots of dogs and cats as well in downtown, but this is a very promising start. Now I have noticed that there are a ton of people waiting for ambulances, and I think the issue is that the custom hospital I created in the asset editor, it has some kind of bug where garbage doesn't get collected or something, which greatly reduces its efficiency. I'm not really sure what's up here, but I can't be bothered trying to work with it in the editor because it was kind of fiddly to just get it to work. So I think what I might do is actually just grab a medical clinic and see if I can just kind of splice that in there, to be completely honest with you guys. What if I place that there and I maybe get rid of some of these slightly odd. I don't want any of this parking either. That's not gonna work out. Let's see, maybe an ambulance depot upgrade. That didn't work because now we have pedestrian. Oh, crap. We'll delete this. All right. Can I add this building without issue? I could. All right. Let's see if I can actually copy the color scheme here. And yeah, I guess that looks kind of good. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this medical clinic and I am going to assign it to only Fort John districts. Yoink, 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 yoink. And of course, Queen's Cape. Because one other issue I'm having with my custom, super efficient, well-planned, well-designed hospital is that I can't assign any districts. I could probably fix this in the editor as well. I don't know how. So we're just gonna kind of go with this scuffed setup. I'm swimming in money, so I don't think there's a problem in adding an additional medical clinic. I just need some ambulances on the road. I need some ambulances to take care of these people because I'm getting so annoyed with the pop-ups. Let's add more people to our broken healthcare system. So the skyline is definitely taking shape, and I mean technically we're still kind of maintaining the same height restriction. It looks like 65 Butler Street and 130 Barlow Street is pretty much the exact same height, topping out the skyline for now at least. Obviously we are starting to have quite a few skyscrapers here, so I think it's something we can manage. The more skyscrapers we add in here, it's just going to require that we make sure that the city sprawls quite a bit more. But as I've mentioned before, we are likely going to do some more terraforming, some more land reclamation, and probably just add a few more islands so that we can have a very interesting form of suburban sprawl where it kind of jumps to all these kind of different islands surrounding Fort John. That is the idea, at least, which I may be getting a little ahead of myself with. So I'm just going to grab one of these more simple color schemes and try and make some of these slightly ugly buildings a little less ugly. Not quite sure about the placement of this one, but I do also need a residential skyscraper or two that isn't faced directly against the bay here. But otherwise, I am pretty happy with this setup. We'll try to make... Actually, that is probably not what we'll be going for. We'll make this a little darker so that it still kind of stands out. But I'm generally pretty happy with the placement of these. This one is... It looks a little older, but once again, it could go for a bit of a more modern design. We have this awful coloring in here, so I'm tempted to just make it... Actually, I don't... Is the white going to... Let's just make it a slightly off-white. I know some of these are starting to have a maybe kind of boring colors. So if I could just grab this one and maybe add that to this building and then maybe just make it a little darker so that it kind of stands out. Because the facade here, it actually kind of looks like red brick. Very nice. Now I think we're gonna see if we can find just a couple of additional office skyscrapers, and then we're gonna call it with the skyscraper development for now, because I also need to use some of the amazing level 5 mixed use and medium density residential buildings as well. We've got some really beautiful stuff that I'm gonna line up here alongside the bay and create some cool wall-to-wall blocks with. But as I said before we get that far, we need some more offices, and I'm just gonna check out many of these. It's funny because I have this one in Riverview, and it's obviously quite tall, but given the scale of Riverview, it's nothing special. Kind of blends in. I haven't actually used this one. Might have to use this one in Riverview then. But many of these are really, really tall. So, but this one is also kind of slim, so I might be able to use that. But I prefer something like this. this kind of really boring international style skyscraper, which just it just makes it a perfect fit for wherever you place it. And we have a version here that has a smaller footprint, so it's gonna work much better in a quote-unquote wall-to-wall configuration. So let's just see if we can get this one placed somewhere, maybe in here. We don't have any skyscrapers in this particular area here, so if I can just kind of align that, maybe kind of align it to the side like this, we'll just move it real close to this small cozy street, as it's called. That is a cozy name. And then let me just get rid of some of this stuff here. Maybe not all of the benches, just this one poking through. You can kind of keep the other one. Very anonymous, but a really good fit. A good filler building as well. You can use these several times over in the same downtown and just kind of recolor them like you want, I guess. This one as well, fantastic filler building. Just gonna blend in pretty much wherever you place it, I guess. So once again, let's just move a little closer into the actual city center here. Maybe we'll just place that on this corner here. We'll place this big slender boy right on this corner. I think we're gonna grab this one that is just slightly lower than the top dogs of the skyline. Maybe move that real close here to the 5-point area. We can actually kind of squeeze it in on this little bendy road we have here. Once again, move in with better Bulldozer, get rid of a few hedges. But I really like this choice of having like the slightly lower skyscrapers being closer to the edges of downtown. We get this tiered look, as you guys can see, this stepwise look. And I mean, just look at the skyline from this angle. This is actually, I'm pretty happy with this. And the amount of traffic here is fantastic. I mean, whoa. Okay. Things are getting really busy here in East Haven, I guess. But let's just remember, I have added a ton of population in the last like 10 minutes of game time. So I guess it makes sense that for the foreseeable future, the next hour or so, we're gonna have a massive queue here. It should settle, because as you guys can probably see, they're all trying to move in. Let's actually do a little additional check on downtown then. So the amount of pets have actually dropped while we've added close to 2,000 additional residents. So that's, I don't know what that is. Maybe we had a bigger student population with pets in the beginning. I'm not sure. I can't make sense of this. That's okay. I don't have to. The main point is our population is improving. It's going up, which is really nice. Oh my. This angle is also quite nice. I think the natural progression now would be to actually add in some high-level mixed-use buildings. We need lots of storefronts at street level, of course, to make this a busy place where you can do your grocery and detail shopping as well. I want this to be a very livable downtown, very much inspired by Boston once again. But I think before I place any more buildings, we should specify some park areas or recreational spaces first, because it's always a little annoying having to retrofit them by, removing stuff you've already built. I made this super quick makeshift park here, which is just some paths and some trees, but I kind of like it. I think it works, and it creates like a bit of open space here at this major crossing between Queen's Passage and Oak Avenue. So I think we might keep that. We have some landscape work here at the central hub, but we probably need something. We need to designate at least one of these blocks here. So maybe we'll go for this one here. It's a nice almost square shape, so it would also be nice to actually build here, but I'm gonna enable Anarchy, and I think we're just gonna designate this as a park, just as a placeholder for now. I don't want to place anything right here yet. Central Park. Wow, my creativity is incredible. Very centrally located park. Yeah, mixed use. Let's see. And I don't have the French pack enabled in this playset, but maybe I should, because I don't think the traditional Parisian looking buildings would fit in here, but there are so many service buildings in that pack, so you know, maybe some would actually fit. That's an entirely different topic, of course, but yeah, that's something I should maybe start working with. So I'm gonna try out some of the signature buildings first, because by virtue of them being signature buildings, they are pretty unique looking. This is the park, so we're not going for that. I think a building like this is just, you know, it's almost a little too big, right? It's a very, very bulky building. I might be able to actually add it here and then just add some wall-to-wall buildings next to it. So let's just get that placed actually. And we have the Ember Suites, which I don't think I'll be using. I don't mind the asset. I think it's pretty cool, but it's once again very, very bulky. Although I say that, and then I'm kind of like, maybe we can squeeze it into this lot here and then add some wall-to-wall in front of it. I'm actually just gonna try that. This one is special in that, oh, it actually has, yeah, it kind of has this big slab of like just concrete or whatever it is on either side. So I don't think it makes for a great corner building. It's my only critique or reservation with using it. But I think if I place it in a place like this and we grab better Bulldozer, get rid of the hedges here and at least 2 of these trees, then maybe we can add some wall-to-wall buildings and make it look a little more natural. Actually, I think that's a pretty nice addition. All right, 2 down. We have the Epicurean Garden building. I don't think I've actually placed this in game before. It just kind of looks a little odd to me. But maybe I'll be able to squeeze it in next to this skyscraper here just to have something a little special. Can I recolor it, please? I can. So let's get rid of this weird stained drab color and just make it white. And I'll just make this a bit more, yeah, a bit lighter maybe. A bit more white as well. Something like that. And continuing looking at some signature buildings, we have this Figura building here, which is just a nicer version of the one we just placed basically. And it's quite a massive asset, so I don't think that's going to be feasible within downtown Fort John, but there may be other places to place it. I mean, we do have a pretty dense looking thing going on over here in Queen's Cape with all these office developments, so I do wonder if I can make it look natural if we actually squeeze it in right here. I think I'm gonna give it a shot because we've already established that Queen's Cape is a very high demand area. People want to live here. It's beautiful. It's close to the highway, which Americans love, of course. It's close to beautiful natural scenery and top tier education facilities. Remember, we are in Massachusetts, so top tier education, that's par for the course. So I could imagine that since we do have developers that have built not office skyscrapers, but you know, 8, 7, 9 stories tall office buildings, you might have a developer move in and actually give it a go with a residential building. Although I know technically it's not a residential building, it's a mixed use, but you kind of get my point. I'm just gonna make the coloring a little more boring. Although the black doesn't really work near the pool now, does it? No. So we'll just go for gray. How much does this add? 100 households and a couple of jobs as well as soon as the company actually moves in. And then I think the Iron Press building and Ludo Square we are going to reserve for now. Maybe for another city entirely here in the county. And then we'll move on to some of these big, beautiful corner buildings instead. So let's see. I'm pretty confident I can use some of the European themed mixed use buildings here, because this one could very much give, you know, real old school Chicago school or New York style architectural vibes. So I want something like this to be very centrally located, not at the actual Central Park, of course, but nonetheless in a beautiful location. So let's just see if we can get this aligned really close here to this corner, just like that. Probably don't want the green though. I might just go ahead and steal one of the red brick colors I like. This one, we'll just copy that. And then we'll move over here and we'll say yoink. European building maybe, but I really do think it works in a place like this as well. And it's like reminiscent of a time where Fort John really started growing, and some of the first, you know, real estate giants established their empires by building beautiful buildings facing the bay. Which makes me think we should probably name the bay just for role play purposes, not because it actually matters. I don't expect having to assign garbage service to the bay here, but I don't know. I've talked about this before. I kind of want to make sure that I actually name and designate certain natural features and forests and whatnot. So I think John's Bay is maybe just a decent start. Very creative at least. Anyways, we got this beauty in place. Let's see what else we can find. We have the European stuff here. I'm just checking if there's something else I feel that I can use. I'm gonna check level 5 first, and then we're gonna drop the levels. But I think that is pretty much it for now. So I'm just gonna scroll down here so that we get to some of the North American stuff. And obviously there's a few things here that's gonna be a little easier to use, and some of these are absolutely beautiful as well. I think this one, but maybe in... Actually, I need to reserve some space here alongside Bay Road for some of the beautiful level 5 medium density buildings, because we have quite a very nice selection of those that we can use. So maybe we can just kind of try and stitch this in here instead. I'll grab the red brick auto color variation from the one I like the most and just color the rest of them, and then I'm hopeful I can move it and maybe lower. Yeah, I can just lower one of them slightly into the ground so that we don't have any texture fighting on top basically. So by stitching a few of these together, it's a very, very, very nice looking structure that kind of fits the weird corner lot we placed it on. And this also enables us to just do a bit of tweaking of this building that we placed a little earlier so that it looks a little better. Can I colorize this as well? Because it's looking real ugly. I guess that's slightly better. And then I'm just gonna try and do a tiny bit of adjustment here to the corner. Grab a bit of Bulldozer and we'll get rid of at least these small fencing structures here. And actually I didn't have to remove that plant, but oh well. And we have thick digital moving in. Interesting. And over here we have Carpoco, paper mill. All right, I'd hoped for a restaurant, but whatever. Do I have something here that needs a bit of better bulldozing? We do. We got some weird fencing. I guess we can let that stick. But otherwise, I think this works really well, just stitching that together, trying to be a bit creative with the asset availability we have currently. Another beauty, really old looking, ready for placing, maybe facing some of the slightly similarly architecturally themed buildings for the central train station. I hope that sentence made sense. Anyways, a bit of manual alignment here. Get that placed. Very, very nice. We've got a corner here where I would like a building to go real close to the skyscraper. It is a very square international style skyscraper, so it should be fairly easy for us to find something that we can just kind of fuse in. Can 2x2, is that a thing? That is a thing, but it's not big enough. A 2x3. almost works, but what a weird looking asset this is. Can I do better? I can do better. We can grab some of this stuff here. That's gonna work. And then I'm just gonna move that real close, fused into the building. Yoink. Very nice, and it is in the correct red brick color, which is perfect. Let's mix it up and see what kind of nice high-density commercial buildings the game has in store for us. The cool thing here is that some of the hotels here you have probably never seen grow naturally in your city, maybe up until now, because they seem to have tried to fix tourism with the most recent patch. But some of these hotel assets are actually really nice looking. I mean, this one is it's just beautiful, and it can act, you know, it has corners on either side, which is absolutely perfect. So I guess I don't need the 6x6 because it has a bit too much landscaping out front. But if we grab the 6x4, then maybe that would be an okay fit for a lot like this. And then we can just expand the surfaces, make sure it looks really nice, and so on and so forth. I'm just gonna... Actually, let's just pause the game and see if there's a better location for this asset. There might just be, because it has a lot of real estate, so to speak, facing in one direction. So if we place it somewhere where it faces the bay, then that is probably an even better idea. But I guess I could just place it at the very same corner, something like this. I'm gonna do this. Okay, I'm gonna try something a little weird here. I'm gonna try to place it here because I think that's a nice spot. It's a fantastic asset. Then we're gonna try to grab one of the smallest, narrowest streets I have, which I guess would be the one-way lane with parking. Disable any type of snapping, and then I'm going to try to place that road here, just to make this a little more complex, a little weirder. And I really like that. Obviously, we are gonna need to remove the traffic lights here, we'll remove the crossings, and we are going to disallow, let me just think straight, disallow left turns here so that there is no actual crossing. I am a little annoyed that we have a slight glitch here in terms of the surfaces. So if I grab this version instead and try to upgrade that, I mean, I can just move the pavement real close to the building, just like this. Then we don't have that. I say that, but there is actually a bit of a glitch here. That is so annoying. Can I fix this with manipulation mode, with move it? Not really. Can I live with that? You know, I probably can, to be perfectly honest. Better Bulldozer, let's get rid of at least this fence here and these three hedge segments. And I think that looks pretty good. And then this is like a small dedicated road almost for the hotel, you know. Nice. Actually, I think I've been able to fix it by just make a wide shoulder one-way lane parking. So it's a slightly different version than the one I've used in other places. It adds a bit more of a shoulder here, as you guys can see, but does fix the graphical glitching. And I think I prefer this because now there's no glitching whatsoever. Then there's the actual color scheme here. I want to go for a light coloring, something like this, and then we could call this the Grand Marble. I mean, the name of the hotel, right? Because let's just say that these are slabs of marble in this specific color. And I'm not gonna place any building on this small lot. We'll just have like a small square or park here so that people that spend a lot of money renting a room here, they have pretty unobstructed views of Queen's Cape and of course the John's Bay. We have this signature building here, the Marvelous Marble, real déjà vu, which I think it kind of looks like a mixed use as well. It looks like, you know, we have apartments up on top, and it actually has windows and storefronts facing 3 sides. So I'm kind of inclined to just try and place it right here, as it's pretty much a perfect fit. And then I'll just be grabbing, if I can grab it, this skyscraper here and move it back here. Why doesn't that? Oh, it's, where does that? Okay, it aligns like this. Just move that real close. Something like this, because that's a, yeah, perfect fit. And it is actually a red brick building this time around, not a fake red brick building. Very nice. And we have the storefront at the lowest floor here, or what looks to be a storefront, but it's probably a hotel or something. All right, so I've paused the game because obviously there are a few issues that I need to try and fix. Let's start with the water availability. What is going on out here? 64% efficiency due to my service budget cuts. All right. Let's move into services and bump this number up. We'll just go all the way to 100%. We had to implement some pretty harsh austerity measures many episodes ago. You guys who are long-time followers know that we had severe economic crisis here in East Haven following the Economy 2.0 patch, but that is very much fixed now. So let's see if, yeah, that actually fixed that. The other issue is one of like medical care. It's looking real bad, and I don't think it's because I have any sort of pollutant issue that is making the city actually sick. No, that's not it. Is it like 0 vehicles in use? So I think the medical clinic I placed is actually for some reason blocking my hospital's ability to dispatch ambulances. So instead of increasing the total amount of ambulance capacity, I have effectively cut it in half, which obviously isn't all that great. So I think as like I just need to place this somewhere else temporarily. Like, it doesn't have to be long term. I just need to relocate it. So I'm gonna relocate it out here, and then I think we need not an extension wing, but we definitely need the ambulance depot. All right, and then I need to say, oh, it already has all the correct operating districts. I need to include 5 Point and Base End. Just everything, including Little Sicily. All right, so I'm gonna unpause the game and we'll see if this one can actually start dispatching some ambulances. I really hope that, otherwise this is just completely bugged. Which, yeah. I mean, that is so weird. Why are you not pumping out ambulances? I mean, there's plenty of work to be done. Okay, we're gonna try something else, I think. We're gonna try and just get rid of it altogether and just replacing it. I really want to use this asset. It's my beautiful custom creation, which has been riddled with issues ever since I created it, but never mind. Get that placed. Please, please, please dispatch that. Okay. Fort John General Hospital. All right, so let's see. I'm hopeful that just replacing it is actually going to make a lot of difference. Now at least we have a ton of ambulances making their way throughout the city. Let's just see if we can look at, yeah. Okay, so we'll give it time. Hopefully this is going to fix our healthcare crisis. We've added almost 1,200 children to downtown. I wonder how our school system is holding up. It's not. All right. I think I'm gonna reload the game with the French pack enabled, because I think we might be able to squeeze in some of the French service buildings, maybe the elementary school. So I'll be back in just a second. Back in game, this time with some French beauties enabled. Let's see if the school isn't a good fit. French elementary school. I mean, that could definitely work. It's got a bit of a colonial style even. So, I mean, if I place it really central, somewhere in downtown. It's just gonna look like one of the oldest buildings we have in here. With a bit of history as well. I really think this is going to work out quite well. I just need to find a suitable place because it's not the smallest asset. Maybe could we actually just place it here? I mean, I know it's not as central as, but you know, we want this to be the park, so yeah. We're really starting to fill up this space, so I don't think we have a much better location necessarily. So I think I'm just going to, we have Anarchy enabled. Oh, we don't need to, I guess. And I just kind of want to try and place it here. Let's just see how that actually works. I think that works out really well. And we need to add the extension immediately. We're not wasting any time here. Let's get rid of a few trees. Maybe even move it a little closer to... if I can grab it, that is, I can move it a little closer to the edge here, and then we'll add some graffiti on the side. It's a very old building, obviously, so it predates this road, this underpass that was built underneath the train tracks. It obviously also predates the train tracks. So maybe we could add some sort of graffiti decal to the side here, or like, if not graffiti, then something like a big beautiful mural of some sort. This one is really stunning, so if I can get that aligned, then it doesn't look as much like, it's not like street art. Oh, it is street art, but it's not, you know, amateur graffiti. It's actually something really nice added. And then I guess if we add this one right here as well, we have a bit of a theme going on. And then I'll add in just a bit of, you know, randomness as well. It's not like we can stop people from adding a few posters and whatnot to the wall here. But that is a pretty cool fit, I think, and I like the placement of the building actually. And it does add a 1250 capacity. Very impressive for a building this size, which obviously it helps the issue quite a bit, but I certainly still need more schools. So with this school in place, I think I'm gonna place an additional school up here in West Point, mainly just to try and satisfy some of the demand, not to really make anything fancy or high detail. So I'll just grab the regular elementary school and I'll get rid of some of these houses here. Let's see if we can do something. So I think I'm just gonna place that and then maybe grab one of these custom versions I have. This one has a student capacity of 500 as well. So this one is 1000. We can add the extension, so that's 1500, and then 500 right next to it as well. So I think I'm just gonna go for a setup like this. And detailing wise, we're gonna cheapen out and to just use some big oaks to kind of cover it up and make it look like a real old school. Just add some oaks all around the place. There you go. Can we recolor it? Actually, yes, but not the extensions. Oh, wait, I think I can. Can I not? I can. Ah, very nice. Okay, I'm just gonna grab the school then with the white roof, sorry, and I'm gonna colorize the rest. It looks like a Georgia or Alabama courthouse now. It's the vibe I'm getting, at least. But I think this was more or less what we needed. That is a lot of school capacity added in very little time. Obviously, we're gonna have to add more schools within too long, but this isn't really the focus of this episode, so I think we're just gonna call it here. I think it's finally time we dip into some of these level 5 medium density apartment buildings and see what we would like to have fitted alongside Bay Road here. I haven't filtered off the fringe assets because maybe there is something that we like. I mean, this could be a New England building as well, if we are just a little imaginative at least. But I think in general, I'm looking for this sort of style. These beautiful, beautiful classic American assets. So I'm pretty much just gonna grab one of each, I think. And I'm looking for the smallest lot size because some of these are really big. But this one is, wow. I mean, that is a beautiful looking asset if I've ever seen one. So can I squeeze it? Probably not in between those two buildings, but I should be able to add it in here maybe. Are we gonna try and go for like an actual wall-to-wall configuration with this building here, or is that gonna be, that might just be a little too weird. Is there a better spot for this building? I wonder, maybe right here actually, and then obviously we'll need to use move it to just grab this guy here, and we can align it real close, create that wall-to-wall vibe. We've got some bushes here, we'll just get rid of. There you go. Beautiful, beautiful addition. So that's one down, and these are all the same, just different lot sizes. Then we have this one, 4x6, 4x5. And is that the same? No, it's not. I don't think we have this in a 4x4 configuration, but that's okay. Another beautiful, beautiful addition. Is that gonna be a better fit over here? Maybe it is. I would like to have like a low rise between these two buildings here. So we are just going to add this to the corner, and obviously I'm gonna move in and get rid of this fence here. I don't want that. And we have another beautiful one. This part of Bay Road is starting to be really dense and all fixed up. But if we move down here, then we've got space for some beautiful additions. So let's see if we can just squeeze this guy in right there. One more down, couple of extra ones to go. Maybe get an alignment. Can I get these two buildings to look wall-to-wall-ish? I think I can. And then we'll grab the skyscraper here, and I'm gonna see if it looks all right by just moving that real close. And I think it does. Very nice. Oh boy, Bay Road is starting to look fantastic. I think it's very obvious that this is the most expensive real estate in the entire county, at least for now. And I did manage to squeeze in this beautiful, beautiful building from the French pack in here. And then to try and kind of make it look a little more blended in, I changed the color scheme of some of the other buildings to, you know, have sort of similar vibes, but not completely the same. And I don't care, it's gonna stay. It's beautiful, and I don't think it's completely out of the imagination that someone who really wanted to detail up a beautiful building would develop something like this about 100 years ago, maybe a little more, actually 140 years ago probably. But I'm very, very happy with how this looks. This is definitely the best skyline and probably the best downtown I've built in Cities Skylines too. So I'm quite excited, if I do say so myself. It's also getting pretty obvious that I won't be able to finish downtown within this single episode. It's probably gonna stretch multiple episodes. So if you guys have some feedback of what you'd like to see in some of these empty lots here, then please throw a comment, let me know. I'm always looking for some inspiration in the comment sections. I get so many great ideas of what you guys provide. So yeah, feel free. We are starting to encounter a new issue in the city though. My unemployment is pretty high. We have added a ton of people and not all that many jobs. So what I think we're gonna wrap up the episode with is adding a few additional high density commercial assets to the downtown. And then perhaps I'm going to continue the modern office developments that we've seen alongside the Evergreen Highway all the way here, like this stretch as well. I think that might be a pretty good fit because we're very close to the highway, so it's getting a little less livable. And I think it would be pretty cool to have like an entire stretch of road here where we have these medium density offices and lots of workplaces. But we'll see. We're gonna start with some high density commercial for the downtown. Alright, I got a little cheeky and sneaked in a few smaller skyscrapers. This guy right here, Snafu Insurance, added 47 jobs. I don't know how that is calculated. We've got Leafo Electronics, 39 jobs, and I added this bad boy as well, Stadelmann and Bardolf, 72 jobs. And I think these are some pretty good additions to just the skyline. They densify the skyline without making it much taller. Now, right before we wrap up, I just want to showcase a few changes I've made based on you guys' feedback. So, a couple of you were quick to point out that the express line I created for our new bus network is probably obsolete because it would be in direct competition with the existing train line that connects downtown Fort John directly to downtown Charter Bay. You guys are of course correct. It was pretty unnecessary, so I've made sure to remove that bus line. And of course, we'll be adding a ton of bus lines in the future to really build out the network. So once again, thank you guys so much for your feedback. Now, there was another suggestion, which I won't have time to implement in this episode, but I'd love to hear you guys' thought on it because I think it's very, very interesting. Might turn it into a vote. But it's this suggestion to have the remnants of the previous big streetcar network here in Fort John still exist in the shape of a single line that covers Bay Road. So it originates somewhere over here in, I think this was called Winter. It's now 5 Point. And then it moves all the way up to Bay's End and back again. So it basically just travels alongside Bay Road here. It's more of like a historical line, sightseeing, tourism. It's not really meant to be like a super high capacity public transit line. I think it's a really interesting idea. We could use the road builder mod to try and manipulate, or rather just change this road, this custom road here, to a version that enables tram traffic as well. Could be pretty interesting. Of course, it's gonna cost some money just getting the actual tram depot in place, but then we have the depot in place, and then we can kind of decide on whether we want to expand the network as well. But anyways, let me hear your thoughts on this. I might just turn this into a vote. I think it's a pretty interesting suggestion at least. But I have completely run out of time now, so that is gonna be it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, all the feedback, all the support. I cannot thank you enough. I'll do my best to shoot some cool cinematics. I know that downtown isn't complete, so I can maybe mask that with some certain camera angles. But otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed the cinematics. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you all in the next one. Goodbye.